Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Rockpool Murder, written by Emylia Hall. It's a cozy mystery and it's a book in the Shell House Detective mystery series. It's got good characters, it's got a good setting, the mystery is quite strong. It is set in a seaside setting, like a small town at the seaside. If you like cozy mysteries or mysteries in general, set by the seaside in small towns, I think you'll like this book. The two protagonists are also very strong, one I think stronger than the other in this book, but I do enjoy them both for different reasons. So this book, I think, is still a great addition to this series. So first off, let's talk about the structure of this book. This book has different point of view characters, not just point of view from the two main characters in the story, but a lot of this book has point of view from other characters, even characters just in this book. For me, that was disappointing because I enjoy cozy mysteries where the main characters have main point of view in the story. Here and there, sometimes you might get a point of view from somebody else, but done in a small way. A small percentage of the book is done in that way. In this book, it almost feels like over half the book is point of view from other characters. That was disappointing in the book because when we had the point of view for the main characters, the two main characters, it felt more on the cozy side of things, not the mystery side. And in a cozy mystery, it's still a mystery. You have to have the main characters investigating. You need their point of view on the investigation. When that happened, when it was the main characters investigating, it all felt a bit slipshod. It was all about this plan to kind of flush out the culprit. But the way that was done just felt really strange to me. It didn't feel structured or well planned, it felt all over the place. And I didn't get a good sense about the characters in those scenes. If I was reading this book without reading other books in the series, I'd wonder, do I want to read more books in the series? Because even though the mystery is good, the mystery itself is good, not having the main characters investigating that mystery for most of the book felt a bit strange to me. On the cozy side though, so when we have the main characters on the cozy side, I think it's better. So the mystery in this story is quite strong. So even though I didn't so much like the structure of the book, the way we don't get the point of view of the two main characters enough, I still enjoy the mystery. So it focuses on this ex-rock star who's turning 70. He's having a party at his house. He's got this huge house in this small town. He invites his family and friends, not many of them, I think around about 10 people I think he invites, to spend a few days at a house with him to celebrate his birthday party. While they're all there, on the first day I think it is, while they're all there, he ends up falling in the pool. Something happens, he falls in this pool and he drowns at his own house with people around him basically. So it's not a closed room mystery, not a locked room mystery. It is a closed circle mystery because everybody in that house is either related or very close friends to the deceased. That's interesting because closed circle mysteries are interesting. So we've got a small group of people who are suspects, and then we have a few suspects kind of, I know they're very dubious in certain ways. We have them starting rumors about other suspects. We have fights between suspects. We have tensions. So it all kind of plays out in the story as well. And that kind of thing engages the reader, I think, because it makes you think, who's guilty? Is it this person or not? So it's all there to trigger the reader into kind of pointing fingers along with other characters in the story. That's what I think the purpose is when that kind of thing happens in a book. When I think of the two main characters in this book, on the cozy side, I think Ali's cozy elements are better, they're stronger. Her husband was on the police force in this small town. She lives in the same house she shared with her husband, and it's called Shell House. And it's very close to the shore. Jaden was on the police force, but something happened to his friend and partner on the force. And so he left the police force and came to live in this small town because his wife is from the area, from the small town. There's a bit of history about them both. So for Ali, we have different things coming to light a bit between Ali and other characters in the story. I don't want to say what they are because I don't want to give that surprise away, but it makes me think about what will happen in the next book. It keeps me interested in the next book because I do like Ali as a character and I'm kind of focused on that part of her life. I want something to happen between Ali and another character in the book. I mean, we get a feeling something's going to happen. We don't know if it will happen or not, but we get a feeling it may. So for me, this book is kind of like one of those eye-opening moments for a character where they realize something that the readers may have realized from the very start. And it's very interesting how that plays out because it is kind of growth for the character in that way. And I do like when we have character growth, especially for main characters, as the series progresses. So for me, great moment for Ellie in the cozy side. Stronger for me than Ellie in the investigation side because we don't get that much investigation from her in this story. So even though I enjoyed the mystery, the investigation from the two main characters, not so much. Wasn't that strong for me in this book. I want to mention Mullins in this video because Mullins has been there from the very start, and Mullins is on the police force, and he's a great character, I think. He's one of those characters who feels under the radar, but even though he stands out to readers and he stands out to me as a reader, he feels under the radar. He feels that way because so many other characters in these books, they just don't give him a second thought sometimes. They don't think that highly of him. Sometimes he feels like a bit of a joke to some people in these books. But for me, I think he's a great character. I think he's one of those characters that surprises people. Surprises them in good ways, I think. I think he's very clever. I think he's very observant. He's very intuitive. He understands human nature. I get that from him in these books. He understands human nature. And it makes his character feel very complex, very complete. There's so much to this character, I think. I think if you just sit back and take time to understand the character, you realize there's so many different layers to this character in this story. So many different reasons why he's a standout character. So for me, Mullins is a great character in this series, and I hope he sticks around for many more books. Tallulah we meet in this book, and I get a feeling she'll be there just for this book alone. When we first meet her, she's vibrant, loud, full of life. She kind of forces her way into the story. It is like that all through the book. She's got very high highs and low lows. That's all we get about Tallulah is those kind of big, strong reactions. Reactions to things other people do. And the way other people treat her causes her to have these high highs or low lows. Sometimes indirectly as well. So for me, it's a character that likes to push herself into the center of things. One of those types of characters. And you get those characters in cozy mysteries a lot, I think anyway. You get characters that force themselves into scenes, make themselves feel larger than life. In many books though, those characters often end up being the victims of crimes. But in this book, it's not. Tallulah's not a victim, but she's just larger than life and a very vibrant character. Felix is not used as a red herring so much, but as one of those easy early suspects. So for me, in cozy mysteries, we often get a character who's accused of the crime early on. And regular readers of cozy mysteries usually realize that character is not going to be guilty by the end. They're not the real culprit. But they're used as a suspect early on to drive investigations in a different way. And usually, that early suspect is linked somehow to the investigators in some way. You know, they're either friends or relatives or family or something. In this book, it doesn't happen like that. But you get a feeling the two main characters feel something for Felix. There is a bit of a connection between Jaden and Felix, but only because Jaden and his wife run this kind of camping ground and Felix is staying there. So, and they have a kind of a conversation at the start of the story. So they have a couple of meetings by chance in a way. So that's the reason why the investigators, Jaden and Ellie, want to help Felix so much and investigate this crime because they feel like Felix is innocent. So that's the trigger, I think, for the investigation in the first place. So Felix as a character is good. I mean, he's got a strong personality. He's interesting. There's question marks about him, but for me, those question marks are kind of weak question marks because I assume he's not going to be guilty by the end, but he's used in a good way in the story to drive the investigation forward. I enjoyed the mystery in this story. I mean, it's a strong mystery, a good mystery, a closed circle mystery, and I do like closed circle mysteries. They interest me a lot. But for me, it's the way the investigation plays out, the fact we don't have the two main characters having, a lot of space in the story to investigate the crime. That just makes me disappointed in the book somewhat, and I rate this a 3 out of 5. I really want these books to return to having the main point of view focus on the two main characters. I mean, Why shouldn't it be like that? Why do we get so much of these books focused on other characters? I think the balance is off. I'm not sure why it's written that way, why it's structured that way, but for me, it doesn't work. I want the main focus to be on the two main characters investigating the crime and just having a good investigation and not something that feels a bit slipshod. On my channel, I review many cozy mysteries. If you enjoy cozy mysteries, check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to a video for another book I'm sure you'll enjoy.